Trevor Bauer says he would pitch in the major leagues for the league minimum, but so far no takers. Gavin Lix returns to where his knee exploded like Oppenheimer, and the new coordinators for the Chargers sing remarkably familiar tunes. Good morning, I'm James, and this is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. So it is February 23rd, 2024, and we have an absolute ton of Dodgers news to share with you guys this morning. By the time you get this clip, I'll be up on a plane heading back to St. Louis for work, miserable for every mile, but for now we're going to be happy talking about LA. And if you like being in the know about LA, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist, and by all means comment. I look forward to hearing from you guys all the time. Try to get back with each of you. Now, before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. Tough day for the Angelenos. Straight up. For example, no LeBron James, no chance. Golden State 128, Lakers 110. Anthony Davis led the Lakers with 27 points. Meanwhile, Kawhi Leonard scored 20 points, and yet Oklahoma City steamrolled the Clippers 129-107. And oh boy, the Kings took it on the chin as well. Nashville 4-1. Kevin Fiala scored for the Kings. Meanwhile, today, San Antonio is in town. They will play the Lakers at 7:30. Darvin Ham said, in all likelihood, LeBron James will be playing tonight. But what do you say we get to the news? Sometimes the press, and I know this having been a scribe, will go and they'll write a sympathy for the devil piece. For those of you, you've seen this in the press. You've seen it online. You've seen it back when there used to be such a thing as newspapers. You would take a guy that you had spent years just trashing, just trying everything possible to just tear him down. And then you decide to flip the script and you talk about his redemption story on the way back from all of his troubles. Oh, how dramatic. And that's exactly what the LA Times did, because they interviewed former Dodgers pitcher Trevor Bauer this week. Bauer, a former Cy Young Award winner, has not pitched in the majors for 3 years after a sex crime accusation that never went to court. Very ugly accusations that weren't proven. But Bauer already had a target on his back for being outlandish, particularly online. And when the dust settled, he was issued the longest suspension in Major League Baseball history for violating the domestic violence policy. Now, Bauer last year pitched in Japan, and he could probably pitch there this year, but he would rather pitch in the States and said he would do so at minimum wage. So far, no takers. Now, Bauer is basing his sales pitch on buying low for a Cy Young winner. Quote, for $0 incremental dollars over what you would have to pay that roster spot, there is not a single person in this entire world that would be better for that position than me, because of all the additional benefits that I bring, not even considering the fact that I am going to be really good, unquote. He also told the Times that he has learned from his past behavior. Quote, the biggest mistake in my interactions is my interactions with women. I did not do what I was accused of, but I was also pretty reckless with the people I hung out with and the things that I agreed to do with them, unquote. Now keep in mind, Bauer has released texts and pics from the alleged accuser. The text had a conversation where the alleged accuser and a friend allegedly schemed on how to fleece Bauer for as much money as possible. Now look, I can only report the facts, because I don't want to get sued. Bauer sued 6 people during the course of this. But having said that, there are more reasons that I can only talk about the facts and what Bauer's future it probably is. Because it really is boiling down to this. When the Dodgers signed Trevor Bauer, the idea was they would be adding a Cy Young Award winner who could put them over the top. A killer's row starting rotation with Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler, Julio Urias. That is not what the Dodgers are right now. Kershaw isn't going to be pitching until maybe August, for example. There's no timetable on Bueller's return, and Arias is probably an even bigger pariah than Bauer. So, I just know that the Dodgers were burned once by signing Trevor Bauer. Didn't matter if he was guilty or innocent, they got burned. So I believe they have no interest in getting burned twice. And I think a lot of other teams are looking at that and thinking likewise. Now, if somebody else wants to roll the dice on the guy, so be it. Again, not saying he did anything, because the evidence, pretty sketchy. But I also understand being risk averse. Now, as for what actually happened over in Arizona, as opposed to what happened on the inside of a Motel 6, the beginning of baseball season always begins with these idiotic stories about, well, if so-and-so keeps this pace up, somebody hits 2 home runs in the season opener, and you'll see it all over ESPN. Holy crap, this guy's on a pace to hit 324 home runs. Wah, wah. So I bring that up because the Dodgers opened spring training by batting around in the first inning against Scum Diego and scored 8 times. And yes, multiple news outlets actually reported that the Dodgers are on a pace to score 72 runs per game. Zero respect to the scribes who wrote that. Absolutely zero respect. Now, I did watch the game, and I'll be frank, there is nothing to take away from it. And I can assure you, I was looking for things to take away from it. There was no Shohei Ohtani. 4 major Dodger prospects did play, but how do you show out as a can't-miss prospect? Look at me, Roberts. Look at me, coaching staff. If everybody is showing out, the final score was 14-1. How do you show out? How do you rise above? Even Gavin Lix. Oh, I won't know I'm back until I test my knee running from first to third. The dude got from first to third. He jogged there on a ground rule double. So we don't even know necessarily how good he's going to be. But it wasn't that Lux showed out in the spring training debut as much as the fact that he just simply showed up. Even as a DH, Thursday was the first in-game at-bat the guy has had in 360 days before his knee exploded. In the same stadium, no less. Gee, that wouldn't cause PTSD or anything. Now, Lux goes 1 for 2 with a walk, scored a run. He said that there are times when his surgically repaired knee still feels sore. And right now, he's not wearing a brace over it, he's wearing a sleeve over it, and he has yet to actually take ground balls in a spring training game. Also, there's endless pontificating during spring training, you know that. CBS Sports believes that pitcher Emmett Sheehan is the Dodgers' breakout candidate this year, and they give 2 reasons. 1, he throws a lot of strikes. And he's going to get a lot of opportunities when everybody's elbow on the staff bursts into flames. So, that's your name to keep an eye on, Emmett Sheehan. Both incoming coordinators for the Chargers met with the scribes yesterday, and I have to be honest with you, we have seen this movie before from both coordinators. For example, offensive coordinator Greg Roman envisioned what the Chargers' offense would look like, and it sounded hauntingly familiar to what we heard last year from the former offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. Quote, "Can you imagine Justin Herbert with a great running game? I think in this league, you can really help dictate the defenses if you have a strong running attack," unquote. We heard that. We heard that from Moore. So the question is, can Roman walk this talk? Now, granted, when he ran the Baltimore offense, they led the league in rushing. I give you that. But Moore had solid credentials establishing the run when he was over at Dallas too. The one thing that Roman did say is the offense would look significantly different than the type of offense that he ran with the Ravens. If you recall, Baltimore ran the read option offense then because the quarterback was Lamar Jackson. They would be foolish to put Herbert in a situation where he's running an option offense and being targeted for a hit. So it will look different. Meanwhile, defensive coordinator Jesse Minter also discussed that he wanted his players to compete with toughness and physicality. But then he added something that might give Chargers fans pause. Minter said he likes to use post-snap rotations to disguise what the actual defensive call is, which is exactly what Brandon Staley wanted to do last year. This is how Minter explained it, and it's a little complex, so stick with me. Quote, I really just think trying to teach that concept right from the beginning of, here is the strength of this coverage, here's the weakness of this coverage. If they know you're in this coverage, then here is where the ball is going to go. And I really think the players begin to take ownership of, okay, let's show this because we know we're trying to actually get him to throw the ball over here. It's all calculated, unquote. So my question to you guys, are you cringing a little? Because that's what Staley tried to do. Now I will tell you one thing Minter added is how players will be taking ownership of the defense as time goes on. Now, if that is true, does that mean that Minter will actually listen to his own players? Simplify things if it gets too complex. Because if you recall, Staley wouldn't. That was one of the big reasons for his downfall. Minter also lauded the Chargers' edge rushers and admitted he would love to keep all three, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, and Tuli Tuipulotu. To which I say, good luck with that when you're $50 million over the cap. CBS Sports believes, meanwhile, that if the Rams play their cards right, they can go from good to great. And in an even better way of saying it, CBS doesn't believe that it's going to be about adding game-changing starters, but depth pieces. Does that sound too good to be true? I'll be honest, it does to me. I don't buy it. But I will admit they could do with some depth at certain positions. For example, Tyler Higbee's injury. You're definitely going to need to look at tight end. Where was the Rams offense when Kyron Williams was injured almost midway through the season? A capable backup would be nice. Now, CBS is also on the revamp the secondary bandwagon, but I'm going to keep saying this until somebody actually hears me. The Rams do not spend high draft picks on defensive backs. They may trade picks for defensive backs, but you'd have to be Jalen Ramsey. In the meantime, they'll go like, say, third, fourth, fifth later, and then try to rebuild their secondary there. The Rams have a very Ram way of doing things. They just go against the grain, you know? Like, for example, they're not even going to go to the NFL Combine again. They haven't been to the NFL Combine since 2020. And oh, by the way, they have a first-round pick this year, and they're still not going. So there's that. Meanwhile, the Rams may have been caught by surprise when they cut center Brian Allen, because then they were like, oh crap, Coleman Shelton can leave us. Who's going to snap the ball now? Now, Sean McVay wiped the flop sweat away and said, we would really like to get him back. Now, Shelton is definitely going to be in line for a raise now. He knows that he's the primary center on the depth chart. He can opt out of his contract. Pro Football Focus projects him to get a deal that would be about 3 years, $5 million per season with a $9 million signing bonus. Now, how they reach that, I have no idea. Maybe they were high. Do any of you guys remember Stetson Bennett? The guy got a lot of time during the preseason as a rookie, seemed to be a lock to be Matthew Stafford's backup, and then his career disappeared like Lindsay Lohan's. Where is he? Now, McVay never divulged what happened to the guy, and he even went so far as to ask the scribes to respect Bennett's privacy. As for now, Stafford's the only quarterback on the roster. Remember, Carson Wentz is right now a free agent. And McVay will only say that they would connect with Bennett at the appropriate time to determine his status. What? I mean, seriously, the guy was a rookie quarterback in the NFL, and you're making it sound like he's a mob snitch. I mean, we can make guesses as to what happened to Bennett, but I'd really much rather deal in facts. Some would be pretty nice right about now. The LA Galaxy got less handsome yesterday when they cut starting goaltender Jonathan Bond. Now, on the pitch, he actually played the second most games in net in franchise history. 93 matches, 93. But nobody remembers anything that he accomplished because the girls simply wouldn't stop swooning over him. And I mean all of them. All of them were in love with Jonathan Bond. Girls actually photoshopped themselves in pictures with Bond to satisfy their wanton desires. I poop you not. I've seen the photos. And by the way, I get it. Goalie is considered a pretty heroic job. Bond's a handsome fellow. Bond had a British accent. I love my dad, right? May God rest his soul. But if my dad did not have an Irish accent, he'd have never hooked up with mom and I wouldn't be here. I totally understand. Bond's career, I would guess, may have turned for the worse when he got married last year. And all the women were like, wait a minute. The Galaxy have allowed the most goals of anybody in MLS. And oh, by the way, he's married? Now, with Bond off the roster, the Galaxy land another international spot to use in the upcoming summer transfer window. We do not know yet who will start in net for the Galaxy against Inter Miami on Sunday. A podcast called Corner of the Galaxy, they have a lot of good information about the team, tallied up all of the players that the franchise has cut since the season finale last year. Bond makes number 15 in this roster overhaul. The Athletic, meanwhile, is reporting that the Galaxy are uncertain whether new winger Joseph Paintsill will be available to play Sunday. It's all about the visa process. Now, we had reported this before, but apparently, going into Friday, we have absolutely no advances made in terms of getting that visa taken care of. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Would you give Trevor Bauer a second shot, whether it's with the Dodgers or anybody else? What about Gavin Lix's return to the boys in blue? Or for that matter, what the Chargers are trying to accomplish again, only with new people at the helm. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Can Cortel Queso production. Take care.